Revelation is a challenging book, and people find it puzzling in many cases. And part of the puzzle is that there's a lot of disagreement over how it should be interpreted and how certain issues in Revelation should be interpreted. Yeah, the people that I had in mind as I was writing this are in many ways like the students I've seen in my classroom in a seminary setting over 4 decades. People who are preparing for one kind of ministry or another. Many of them will be preaching every Sunday. Many of them are working in some other kind of ministry where they're teaching the Bible in a smaller group setting, where they're counseling with someone one-on-one, where they're discipling a person. And so I had in mind the person who's serious about the Bible, but who really wants to engage with the contemporary generation, with the world as we know it, and who wants to encourage people to be faithful witnesses for Christ in what is in many ways a hostile culture. The format of the commentary is pretty much set by the standard expectation that someone has when they pick up a commentary. So you would normally expect to find some treatment of questions of introduction, who wrote it, who did he write the book to, what was their situation, what was the author's situation when he wrote, what was the date? What kind of social and historical setting were those people faced with? So there are questions of introduction like that are covered early on. And then it's pretty much set by the order of verses, chapter by chapter, because the commentary is divided up into the units starting with chapter 1 and going to chapter 22. At the end of each segment of the commentary, so after a paragraph or after a chapter in the commentary, there's a section called Theological Significance. And this is where we're trying to address what are the main points that we should understand from this chapter of significance for us, for what we should believe, for how we should live, maybe for how someone would preach or teach this to a 21st century audience. What would be the main points you would emphasize by way of application or life response? So that's included at the end of each individual section. And then at the end of the whole treatment, there's a section on the theology of the book, where we try to bring things together thematically and deal with, what does this book say about God? What does it say about salvation? What does it say about humans? What does it say about the future? Or whatever the main themes of the book might be. And I find that's really helpful also just to see the big picture of Revelation itself. What are the main themes that are most important to John as he tackles various questions chapter by chapter? And it just gives a chance to provide a better synthesis of the ideas that are there in the book. After studying Revelation carefully, I'm passionate that people in the church, people in our society, need to give the book of Revelation a fair hearing and to read it for what it's really getting at, not for some of the bizarre theories that are out there or the strange views about the mark of the beast or about Armageddon and how it's all going to come about, but to really read it for the message that it gives us about God's salvation in Christ and the grace of God that he offers to every person. And so I really encourage just the Christian who's interested in knowing the Bible to get a hold of this commentary, but especially those people who have a responsibility under God to preach or teach or counsel and to communicate to people the message of the Bible. I think a better understanding of Revelation, appropriately understood, will enrich their ministry.